Janine, are we live? Thank you. Oh, yeah, sorry. Good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the City Council of the City of Binghamton Business Meeting Agenda, 28th of June, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rezanetti,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley is absent. Councilwoman Friedman is absent. Councilman Burns is absent. Councilman Strawn,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon,
Present.
and President Scringy.
Present.
That's 4 here, 3 absent, Riley, Friedman, and Burns.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Rezanetti is recognized for the purposes of a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 7th, 2023 business meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Rezanetti, seconded by Councilman Scanlon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting minutes are approved. Thank you, Councilwoman. At this time, we will move toward public hearing. At this time, the City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 23-128, authorizing the City of Binghamton to apply and accept the entitlement block grants from HUD. Residents wishing to submit public hearing comments may do so electronically by emailing their comments prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov or in person during the meeting. At this time, I want to thank all of the residents who are here in person. And if you would like to come forward to speak solely on anything related to the acceptance of block grants from HUD, you may come forward at this time. Please keep in mind, this is not general public comment, but this is only in relation to the entitlement block grants. Fiscal year 49. Yes, sir. Yes. Good evening, sir. How are you? Good. You could please sign in. You could please state your name and whether you work or live in the City of Binghamton, and 5 minutes. The floor is yours, sir. Sir, forgive me. I apologize. Do you have a green light on the bottom of that microphone? If you could press that little button, that'll just turn that just so we can hear you. Yeah, and if you could just bring the microphone up close so we can hear you, sir.
Closer?
I
Okay.
apologize. 5 minutes. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, Ronald Bornia. I live at 456 Shenango Street, Binghamton. And for the last year or two, I have been going back and forth with council, our council representative, with Department of Public Works, with the engineering department about getting Morgan Street repaved or reconstructed. I feel like that's all I'm getting is the runaround and the brush off from everybody. Everybody I talk to gives me a different story why it's not being done. First, it was supposed to be on the list and it was going to be watched that it wasn't taken off the list, but then it wasn't on the list to start with. Then one of them told me that it was because of the tunnel construction on Shenango Street, the overpass for the highway. That's why it wasn't done. Then I asked one of them, what about the list? Could I get a copy of the list of the streets that are going to be redone? No, I can't get that. I have to submit a FOIL request. I thought that was public information. What's it, like a big secret or something, the list? So anyway, that was what I was told one time. Okay. So then when it appeared in the paper about the draft version of the fiscal year, me and some of the neighbors noticed that Pleasant Avenue and Pleasant Street were on the list to be milled and repaved. One is $80,000, one is $85,000. I want to know why they want to waste the taxpayers' money, $165,000 on streets that don't need to be repaid. So I drove down Pleasant Avenue, which I go there once a week anyway, I live near there. There were 15 patches on Pleasant Avenue. Pleasant Street had 9 patches. Are you ready for this? Morgan Street, 94 patches. So who is evaluating these streets to think that a street that has 94 patches isn't eligible, but a street that has 9 is? That's just wasting the taxpayers' money repaving those streets that don't need to be done. And then one of the stories I got from one of the city departments was, well, it needs to be all reconstructed. That's why they're not doing it. Well, then why don't you save that $165,000 for in the future to reconstruct Morgan Street? Even the neighbors on one of those streets said, I don't think this street is bad. Well, who decided that that street or evaluated the need there to get that street done? Those 2 streets done. Morgan Street is so bad. Me and a lot of the neighbors avoid driving on it. It's so bad. You're afraid you're going to get whiplash by the time you meet State Street. That's how bad it is. And like I said, I counted up all those patches, and it's patch on top of patch on top of patch on top of patch that's been going on for years. So whoever evaluates them, apparently, I don't know how they're evaluating. Is it like somebody they know on those other streets, and that's why they're doing their street, and our street is just left? But really, it's almost like undrivable. I would like to ask any council person, it's only off Shenango Street above the Binghamton Plaza, drive down that Morgan Street and see what that's like. It's like unbelievable, but to spend the taxpayers' money, waste the taxpayers' money on that is just shocking to do that. And then that's bad enough. And then when I got a copy of this plan at the library, the bottom on page 27 says, all programs are equally valued. How is that equally valued? A street with 94 patches is equal to a street with 9 or 10? That's not equally valued.
You have 1 minute.
There is no priority of one project over another, nor any geographic area over another. That's not true. Somebody prioritized those 2 streets over Morgan Street that has all those patches on it. Like I said, it's almost like undrivable. Really, it's so bad. But they're going to waste the taxpayers' money, $165,000 to do that, to repave streets that don't really need it. Where's the sense there? The mayor was on TV and he mentioned some system or something. It sounded like robotics. That's not the right word, but it was something like that, that evaluates the streets. Well, then that thing needs to be evaluated. But I mean, where's the need? Shouldn't the need override something else? So that's why I'm here. I just don't understand why people are so glad to just waste the taxpayers' money. It's like taking the taxpayers' money and throwing it down the toilet. I mean, why is that done? And Morgan Street is just sitting there. If it needs to be reconstructed, well, okay, which I don't even know if that's true. Maybe that was one of
Your
the
5
stories.
minutes is up.
Pardon me?
Your 5 minutes is up.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Did you want my address here or just the name?
Name and address is
Okay.
fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak regarding fiscal year 49 public hearing? Entitlement funds from HUD? Thank you, sir, very much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you. Evening, sir. How are you? Good. Thank you for coming down. If you could please sign in, please provide your name and whether you work or live in the city of Binghamton. You have 5 minutes. Floor is yours, sir.
Hi, my name is Ephraim Rosario. I work with the YWCA Street Outreach here at 80 Holy Street, right down the block. And I would like to say thank you very much for the support that the city of Binghamton has been giving us in order for us to assist those individuals who are homeless at the moment, helping them with supplies, bus passes, food gift cards. helping them with looking for housing, going with them to appointments or going with them for apartment viewings or even some rooming houses to go with them when they request that they have somebody there with them to support, as well as going to the Broome County Department of Social Services with them to advocate for them when they're looking for housing or they're needing any assistance with applying for Medicaid or food stamps, or even just the public assistance alone with housing rents. And I'm very grateful. I was homeless in coming to Binghamton in 2012, and now I work for the homeless, with the homeless, and with a community, with a organization that's working towards ending homelessness. But of course, it's an ongoing thing. But we're there trying to help out as best as we can. And I'm just very grateful because the grants and all the things that were given before I got here helped me get to where I am today. So I just want to say thank you as well to that. And that's it.
Thank you, sir,
much.
very much. Appreciate you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in relation to the public hearing? Evening, ma'am. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. You could please just sign in, state your name, whether you work or live in the city of Binghamton, and you have 5 minutes.
I put my name and where I'm from, like where organization I work for, or
Sure, you can put that. That's fine. Thank you, ma'am. Floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Belinda Ellison. I work at the YWCA here on 80 Holly Street. I'm the emergency housing shelter case manager, and I came down here today to say thank you for all that you guys do for us. It has helped so much, especially for the shelter. As you know, homeless is just ongoing, and it feels and seems like it's just, I'm not going to say it's never going to stop, but it's just a continuing thing that we have been dealing with. And just the fact that you guys help with bus passes, food, clothes, even the resources of just helping the tenants going to see apartments, you know, and having a roof over their head is a big deal, especially right now. And I was homeless, just like Ephraim said, and to be in the opposite chair, it's because of you guys and what you guys have helped, like have done for the Y. So I just want to say thank you. I don't know if you hear that much, but I just want to say thank you and I appreciate all that you do and just keep on doing it. So.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Anyone else who would like to speak regarding the public hearing for fiscal year 49 funds as it relates to entitlement spending from HUD? Seeing no one else, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Going to close the public hearing.
Do I hear a second? Motion by Councilwoman Rezanetti, seconded by Councilman Strawn. Public hearing is adjourned. Thank you very much. At this time, we will move forward with general public comment. Residents wishing to speak during public comment may do so electronically by emailing their comments prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov or now in person during the meeting. Please state your name and whether you work or live in the city of Binghamton. You will have 5 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, did we receive any letters electronically or by snail mail for the record?
No, we did not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anyone wishing to speak for a public comment? Okay, seeing none, Thank you very much. We will move on with first read legislation. And we will move on with the preferred agenda. Council, at this time, are there any members that would like to remove any agenda items from the preferred agenda? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
First is introductory ordinance 23-93, considered in finance, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Treatment Facilities budget for FEMA reimbursement.
Discussion. Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Next is introductory resolution 23-45, considered in finance, a resolution authorizing the Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Treatment Facility to enter into an agreement with GHD Consulting Services for engineering services.
Discussion. Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
And the last one on the preferred agenda is introductory resolution 23-47, considered in finance, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with F.E. Jones Construction for additional construction for the Phase 2 PDL at Marabito Stadium.
Discussion. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the preferred agenda as submitted.
Motion to accept the agenda.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilwoman Resonetti, seconded by Councilman Scanlon. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Resonetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
And President Scaringi.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time we'll move on with the non-preferred agenda. At this time, Chair recognizes Councilman Scanlon for the purposes of a motion and a seeker concerning introductory ordinance 23-88.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-88, considered in finance, never mind about that. An ordinance authorizing the sale of 214 Conklin Ave to Louis D. Catron and Deborah Catron for $500.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilman Strawn. Move on with the seeker.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilman
President.
Scanlon.
The following seeker motions are in reference to the legislation before us. Introductory ordinance 23-88, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 214 Conklin Avenue to Louis D. Catron and Deborah J. Catron for $500.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Resonetti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Councilman Scanlon.
I make a motion to declare city council as lead agency under seeker.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Resonetti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Councilman Scanlon.
I make a motion to identify the proposed action as unlisted under seeker.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Resonetti. Councilman Scanlon.
I make a motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker for the following reasons. The proposed action will not conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations, nor result in a change of land use. The proposed action will not impair the character of quality of the existing community. The proposed action will not have an impact on a critical environmental area. The proposed action will not impact traffic or infrastructure energy use or water and sewer infrastructure. The proposed action will not negatively impact important historic resources, and the site was found to have no historical significance by the Commission on Architectural and Urban Design. The proposed action will not result in an adverse impact on natural resources, erosion, flooding, or human health.
Thank you, Councilman. Again, for the record, for the entirety of that motion, it was motioned by Scanlon, seconded by Resonetti. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Resonetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon
Aye.
and President Scaringi.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Back to Councilman Scanlon for the motion.
Ordinance 23-88, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 214 Conklin Avenue to Louis D. Catron and Deborah J. Catron for $500.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilman Strawn. Discussion. Seeing none, is the question called?
Call the question.
Question's been called. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Resonetti. Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, the chair recognizes Councilman Scanlon for the purposes of a motion and a seeker concerning introductory ordinance 23-89.
To introduce ordinance 23-89, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 537 State Street to Matthew A. Torto for $500.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Councilman Scanlon.
The following seeker motions are in reference to the legislation before us. Introductory ordinance 23-89, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 537 State Street to Matthew A. Torto for $500. I make a motion to declare council as lead agency under seeker.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Rosanetti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Councilman Scanlon.
I make a motion to identify the proposed action as unlisted under seeker.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Rosanetti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Councilman Scanlon.
I make a motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker for the following reasons. The proposed action will not conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations, nor result in a change in land use. The proposed action will not impair the character or quality of the existing community. The proposed action will not have an impact on a critical environmental area. The proposed action will not impact traffic or infrastructure, energy use, or water and sewer infrastructure. The proposed action will not negatively impact important historic resources, and the site was found to have no historic significance by the Commission on Architectural and Urban Design. The proposed action will not result in an adverse impact in natural resources, erosion or flooding, or human health.
Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rosanetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Back to Councilman Scanlon for the motion.
Introductory ordinance 23-89, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 537 State Street to Matthew A. Torto for $500.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilman Strawn. Discussion. Seeing none, is the question called?
Questions?
Question's been called. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rosanetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, the chair recognizes Councilman Scanlon for the purposes of a motion concerning introductory ordinance 23-90.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-90, an ordinance to amend the 2023 water sewer budget to defund one water meter repair position and fund one water meter reader position.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilman Burns. Discussion. Seeing none, is the question called?
Call the question.
The question's been called. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rosanetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, the chair recognizes Councilman Scanlon for the purposes of a motion regarding introductory ordinance 23-91.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-91, an ordinance to amend the 2023 water sewer budget to change job titles of laborers to water/sewer maintenance helpers.
Do I have a motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilman Strawn? Discussion. Seeing none, is the question called? The question's been called. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rosanetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
President Scringy.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Rosanetti for the purposes of a motion regarding introductory ordinance 23-92.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consideration for ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit the FY49 annual action plan and accept any and all funds allocated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development from the CBDG, ESG, and home entitlement programs.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti, seconded by Councilman Strawn. Discussion. Just procedurally, I want everyone to know that at this time, I will entertain a motion to hold this over. It was communicated to me immediately before this meeting concerning the CDAC and HUD. Evidently, the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development requires a 30-day period of review from the date of public notice. It is okay that we had the public hearing today, which was good, but if we are to technically vote on this, we would be preceding and breaking that policy, which we cannot do. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to Councilwoman Riley.
Thank you, Council President. I was about to bring that same thing up, as well as we've received several emails upon notice of the hearing that there were concerns about not only what was available publicly.
Yep.
If you look at our document, it does not talk about what we allocated last year as a comparison for the totals within. So I move that we hold this over.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Riley, seconded by Councilman Scanlon to hold over introductory ordinance 23-92. Thank you all. At this time, Chair recognizes Councilman Scanlon for the purposes of a motion concerning introductory resolution 23-44.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory resolution 23-44, resolution consenting to the amount of allocation of certain tax payments for the Apex at Water Street project.
Second. Motion by Councilman Scanlon, seconded by Councilman Strawn. Discussion. Councilwoman Free.
Thank you, President Scringy. There have been several concerns about this that have been brought to my attention, as well as coming from my own brain. And I have had actually multiple constituents reach out to me to say that this was not adequately publicized. I mean, sure, we, abided by the legal requirements, but they were they found out about it maybe today or yesterday, and they felt like we hadn't done maybe an adequate job of having it in the press or whatever. So I'm also going to make a motion to hold this piece of legislation over as well.
Motion has been made regarding introductory resolution 23-44 to be held over. Motion by Councilwoman Friedman. Who seconded that? I'm sorry. Councilman Burns. Was that seconded by Councilman Burns? I will save this till after communications from council members, but I just want everyone to be mindful of the fact that there are 3 stakeholder agencies that are required to vote on this due to the structuring of the pilot, which we've already discussed, those being the city of Binghamton, the county of Broome, and the Binghamton City School District. After doing some research on this, the County Finance Committee of the county legislature has already unanimously passed this, and it's going forward. The school board is voting July 18th, and I believe there was also a unanimous approval on the IDA governance board. So due to timing, because the IDA has to vote on this last, we probably are going to have a quick discussion about a special meeting concerning this. So just to put that out there. So that's been held over. At this time, we'll move on to introductory resolution 23-46. Chair recognizes Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consideration of introductory resolution 23-46. This is a resolution authorizing free parking at all municipal parking ramps from July 7th to July 9th, 2023 for July Fest.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Strawn, seconded by Councilwoman Rezanetti. Discussion. Seeing none, is the question called?
Call the question, Mr. President.
The question's been called. The clerk will call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rezanetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilmember Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
President Scringy.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time we will move on to communication from council members. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I mentioned this at the last business meeting again, I ran into two officers doing foot patrol in my district, and it's a voluntary overtime. So these guys, they don't have to be out there. They want to be out there. But it's nice to see, and I walked with them, and I encourage all my fellow council people to walk with them for a while. It's nice to see the reception they get from people. They're handing out stickers to kids. They're engaging with people. It's all positive stuff. So I encourage everybody, even people, a couple of people may be listening. You certainly can walk with them, and it's good to see. And I thought it was a great program put together by the mayor and Police Chief Sikorsky. So I hope they keep it up and as long as they can weather-wise. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Rosanetti.
Thank you. Thanks for that reminder, Councilman Scanlon. I think it's a great idea. We'll actually be reaching out to folks so I can do just that. Not much to say except, well, a big congrats to all the graduates, high schoolers. I know there's been nothing but celebrations. Congratulations to them and best wishes as they move on to the next chapter of their lives. And we have July 4th coming up. Be safe, enjoy, and then participate, please, in July Fest, 7th to 9th, and just be downtown Binghamton. It's always a good, fun event. So I'm hoping to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Rowley.
Thank you, Council President. As you all can tell, I won't be talking long. I am part of that graduation celebration and I'm still tired. So kudos to all of the graduates this weekend from all of the schools in our city and those in the Southern Tier as well. I know that Eid starts today. I want to recognize those that celebrate. And we know we also had a wonderful Juneteenth weekend that passed. Unfortunately, I don't think I saw many of you, but I encourage you in the future to join those. I did see some, to join us in those festivities. And kind of similar to what my fellow council members said, the 4th of July is coming upon us, and I look forward to seeing you guys out and about in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, President Scringy. This is our last meeting in June, which, as we all know, is Pride Month. I was fortunate enough to be able to march in the Pride Parade in New York City this past weekend. So I know that is not City of Binghamton news, but one of the things that really moved me was the march went past the Stonewall Inn. And on June, I want to say it was June 23rd, 1969. I think that's the date. That is when the Stonewall riots occurred, and they were riots because queer people were tired of being harassed by the New York City police. And that was kind of the spark for the modern gay rights movement. And we can look back now and it seems so far away. Now at Pride, there were many corporate floats, big household name brands that are coming out in support of queer people, which on the one hand is great because, it is publicity, it normalizes it, brands are recognizing that queer people are a significant consumer block. But, I think it's also important to not stray too far from the roots of it, where it wasn't brands, it wasn't corporations, it was people getting sick and tired of being harassed for who they were. So shout out to, in particular, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. If you don't know who those two people are, I suggest you look them up because those are two incredibly important figures in LGBTQ history. Two trans women of color who changed. They were not only figureheads in the movement, but they changed the material conditions for people. And they were true revolutionaries. So I would be remiss if I did not share that. Now, moving back to the city of Binghamton, there are two events coming up that I want to highlight. One of them is our monthly Northside Assembly meeting. That's happening on Thursday, July 6th at 6 o'clock at the Centenary Shenango Street United Methodist Church. And the other one, of course, is July Fest, also in the 4th District. A great time to walk around, hear live music, buy some handmade goodies, art, things like that. And there's free parking. So, so there's no reason not to come. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Byrne.
Thank you. I was down in New York City. I lived in New York City and I saw the Pride parade many times, and it is quite an amazing thing to watch, actually. Anyway, we just had the Dick's Open here in Binghamton, or in Endicott, but the greater Binghamton area. And I was driving by Dick's Sporting Goods on Court Street last night. And, you know, it just occurred to me it started there on Court Street, and it is now an international company. It's a huge around this country. It's the biggest sporting goods store. And the Stack family just opened up up at the Discovery Center. They just gave a big sum for the Discovery Center, and they had a big thing up there last week. That's in my district. And it just occurred to me that they didn't have to stay. IBM got so big and then they just left us with nothing. But the Stack family has stayed, and I appreciate them. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I concur with Councilman Burns. It is encouraging to see a company stand up. And the only other thing I wanted to say is just I am encouraged by those types of things and all the events that really do happen in this area. July Fest coming up. I know the Southside Neighborhood Assemblies had 2 successful. There's small events, large events. I think most of them are free. The mayor told us, talking to him earlier today, said, we asked him for the fun of it about the Rumble Ponies. And I guess attendance is up 52% down at Marabito Stadium, which is encouraging. And some of the investments we made are being put to good use by fans in the whole area. So I'm just encouraged by the events and encourage people to take advantage of the many things going on in this area. It's fun to see. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Just want to again congratulate all of our graduates, BHS and Seton and all the other schools in the city. Also want to thank all of the people working really hard on road pavings right now. There's a lot going on, so it's really good to see that infrastructure coming up. Also want to thank my colleagues, Councilwoman Riley and Councilwoman Friedman, who were able to join me a little earlier for an additional follow-up meeting about code. We had a great meeting with Mayor Cram and Chris and Dave over in the code department. So was very positive and looking to move things forward on that end as well. That's all the individual comments I have. I'm inclined to offer some time here just as it relates to the general public about the held over resolution, introductory resolution 23-44 concerning the vote that we have to take with the Water Street project. How does a week from today, July Wednesday the 5th, how does that work for everyone? Evening, Councilwoman Freeman.
I just am confused as to why a special meeting is necessary, given the fact that our next business meeting is on July 12th, which is before the school board meeting.
Because there's also the county.
But I thought you said they approved it already.
No, the finance committee approved.
Oh, I see. And so they have to, the county has to
We got to vote,
wait.
then they, and then the school board.
I see. And there's a deadline by which we have to vote or,
Correct, because the IDA can't review it until all three agencies vote.
does the IDA have a deadline?
Whenever their next meeting is, which I believe immediately proceeds, or is right around when the school board votes.
Okay. I mean,
I have a,
would it be disastrous if they couldn't vote on it at their next meeting? That, I mean, are there any like legal ramifications? That's kind of what I'm asking.
No, I get the context of what you're like. Is it high or dry here? And I'll be very open and transparent with you. I'm erring on the side of caution here. So
Okay.
you're okay with that? Okay. Councilman Burns, my
The-
apologies.
that's okay. Thank you. So if the school board, I mean, it doesn't have to go in order that we vote, the county votes and the school board votes. It's just as long as all three have voted. Is that correct?
There's definitely a precedent that we set, considering it's in the city of Binghamton, because
But is there a rule for that? I mean,
you'd have to talk to
Yeah.
the corp counsel on that. I'm not taking a chance.
Right.
My logic is, there's kind of a not formally, but informally, there's kind of a lead agency type of role we're almost taking here, if you will. The school district definitely has no incentive to bury into this if we don't, and the county sure as hell doesn't if we don't. Objectively, I don't care whether it passes or not. We have a job to do. So that's it. But again, I'm inclined with respect to time to lean it out. Councilwoman Riley.
When is the school board scheduled to reconvene?
My understanding is July 18th.
So our meeting is in July 12th would give both agencies outside of the ones that have already voted,
Not the county.
the county and the school board, right?
Right.
After us on our meeting on the 12th. Because they still have to wait for the school board before they can properly act.
The IDA would,
The IDA would have to.
not the other.
Okay.
The county is the issue. And the county finance committee has already unanimously passed this. Both parties, it was already passed.
I just say, because we've already set a precedent in terms of ensuring we have time when things are held over to really rally the parties that are invested in this decision. If we then rush with a holiday in between, we may not be able to gather the information we're seeking.
Was there any information in particular that you're seeking? So I can, as you all know, and I said this in January when I got elected president, I'm pretty sure this is the first time in 6 months I'm actually doing this. And my commitment that I made to all of you was it would be under extreme of circumstances. Again, this doesn't need to be rehashed. We all know this. This is a very different type of agreement. There's a bond assortment related to it. Again, objectively, I do not care whether this passes or fails, but I am not messing things up. There's a time orientation here. And so as council president, I am going to exercise that. So again, like you, Councilwoman Riley, my thought is to try to give as much time here as I possibly can. So a week out, I think is a fair enough amount of time.
But that's,
And
again, we have to, I don't know if everyone else will be
Yeah,
back in town.
I was
Yeah.
trying to go in kind of a round order. Councilman, you're okay? You're okay?
good. Eat that day.
Okay. No, a week out, Wednesday, July 5th. Uh, 5 PM. Does that work with or 5:30? To people with work, 5 PM, right? Probably just getting out. Want to say 5:30?
I can do whatever.
All right, so why don't we do this? I'm sounding like at a bare minimum, I've heard from 5 members that they can be here. So here's what I will do. Formally on the record, I'm going to call a special business meeting for next Wednesday, July 5th at 5:30 PM for the purposes of consideration introductory resolution 23-44. If there are any members that have any scheduling issues or anything, please contact me directly and I'll work with you one-on-one. And if anything needs to be revised, we can go from there. I have no problem doing it.
You said 5 o'clock or 5:30?
But let's do 5:30 because I understand people with jobs and things like that. Maybe they need some time. So 5:30, 5th of July, Madam Clerk, Mr. Clerk, we good? Excellent. That being said, thank you all. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. Or motion.
Wow, look at all these seconds. Motioned by Councilman Burns, seconded by Councilman Scanlon. We are adjourned.